Welcome to the Seven Figure Leaders podcast. This podcast was created to celebrate the success stories of seven-figure business owners, giving them a platform to share their insights and lessons learned in order to inspire other business owners. As well as that, it's an opportunity to build new connections. So if you're a seven-figure business owner or someone who works with seven-figure business owners and you're looking for introductions to potential stakeholders, strategic partners and clients, I'd love to hear from you or have you on as a guest and see if I can help make those connections for you. Just go to synergycfosolutions.co. That's synergycfosolutions.co and click podcast. And there you'll find the link to apply. Welcome. And today we've got Piers Dickinson, founder and director of Hyde and Hare. So they're a soft furnishings and interiors brand focused on natural fibres. Welcome, Piers.
Thanks so much, Tom.
So tell us about Hyde and Hare.
So Hyde and Hare was formed from a love of a Danish term called hygge. Now, hygge is a very cozy style of living that's focused in Denmark, that's kind of warm, comforting, layering of textures, very cozy atmosphere. You can kind of imagine your cashmere socks in front of a log fire, and just really focused around kind of natural fibers, sustainable fibers. And we build a brand that kind of encompasses all that feeling, where the products align with kind of in conjunction with nature. We work with artisans and our products are very natural fibers. So we're kind of inviting people to bring nature back into their home, and explore that kind of cozy led style of living.
Okay, great. And so what are the types of products that you sell specifically?
So we're very much like a natural fibers brand. So we've got a lot of wool-based products. We've got cowhide, linens, and cashmere. So all kind of sitting in the natural and sustainable fibers.
Okay. And so as we were talking about before we kind of went live with the podcast, it's just you at the moment, isn't it? Tell us about kind of the journey you've been on to get here.
Yeah, sure. So as we're discussing, we're 100% owned by myself. We have no debt, no previous raises, and we're kind of at the 650, 700 mark at the moment. So we're growing incredibly quickly. Being bootstrapped as well, it's an incredibly hard model to kind of, I suppose, get to that level of revenue and be profitable at that time. So just me and a team of 6 freelancers and a marketing agency and a really, really great warehouse.
Wow. And that's 600K revenue?
Yeah.
Hey, sounds great. And so obviously starting a business on your own, it can be a challenge, or is a challenge, especially especially in a business like Ecommerce. So what are kind of some of the challenges that you faced along the way? And, you can go into as much detail as you like around, what it was like actually getting started and then what you faced as you've got to this stage.
Yeah, so plenty of challenges. Obviously, I think that probably the main one is that at the time when we were bootstrapped and just had no money at all, I was having to work a job as a full-time head of e-commerce at another brand, and then come home at kind of 6 or 7 and then worked at about 1 a.m. for about 6 to 9 months. No weekends, huge sacrifices, and a lot of potential probably burnout. I think that was the main initial challenge. And I think the secondary challenge that when we started to really grow quite quick, we hadn't had the money to afford to register our IP. So for example, unfortunately, we got sued by a huge clothing brand where our logo was very similar because we hadn't taken the initial thought to register our IP, and our logo was very, very different in our eyes to what we, to the competitor, to the huge £40 million a year clothing brand. But unfortunately, they pressed ahead with it. So I think we were at a point where we were growing really quick and making waves in the industry, which was great. But then we got recognized from big brands, who probably tried to curtail our growth by suing us in that form. So we had to ditch 5,500 units of packaging, hardware, products, branding, all our marketing materials, and kind of start from scratch. And this was in September, so we had to turn it around almost within 2 months to navigate that like Q4 period, which is the biggest sales period for us. So those 2 points were huge challenges for us as a business over the last 4 years.
Wow. So you basically ditched all of that stock. So obviously that would have become a fairly big financial loss.
Yeah, massive.
That put you under pressure to then get things back on track? How did you actually get it back on track?
Yeah, so luckily we were given 3 months by the brand to remove all our stocks. We just luckily were able to do like a sale and got rid of 40-50% of our stock. But elements like packaging, we prepared for 2 years and invested in 2 years worth of packaging and had to always bin well, get rid of a lot of marketing material and a lot of branding and packaging and a huge amount of product. Where yeah where we'd invested heavily and therefore we just had to bite the bullet, I suppose.
That must have been very stressful. And
Stressful, yeah.
yeah, and so obviously you mentioned that your experience was head of e-commerce at another brand prior to starting this business. What were you doing at that business that helped get you set up?
Yeah, so it was a brand called Holland Cooper. Luckily at that point they had just got a huge amount of investment. So I was one of the first people in the e-commerce team, and by the time I left there was about 10 people in the e-commerce team. So it's just a huge transition of going on that growth curve, and luckily they got investment, so we're able to work with some of the most like amazing marketing agencies. A marketing agency called More2, who look after the likes of Bowden, Jules, and a huge brand. So being able to work alongside those agencies quite early on kind of gave me a lot of learnings which I can translate, and probably the courage to then go out on yourself and run your business full time. So yeah, just able to really have the experience of working with really great partners, from marketing agencies to web developers to email flow agencies, and get a whole experience on the best of the business and then kind of translate those learnings to myself. I was really lucky at that early on.
Yeah. So it's knowing what the different parts are and then who the best at those different parts are and then putting it all together.
Yeah, correct. So they were able to kind of almost show us how to do it and how the best people do it and the best brands do it. And I was able to kind of translate those learnings to my own business. So almost getting the benefit of a £30,000 a month retainer from these agencies, and then translate that free knowledge that I was able to gain to my own business.
And how did you actually manage to start the business? E-commerce businesses are notoriously difficult to start without any cash. How did you actually do that?
So we started off manufacturing in England, and we were able to kind of ascertain like really low MOQs and really good quality products. So we're able to do with a 4-week lead time with our English factory in Somerset, and therefore low MOQs. I think our first initial order was around £7,500, which is everything we really had. We had a really good margin early on as well, so we were able to kind of within the third month of work, then we were able to do a £20,000 order, and then the next quarter a £40,000 order, and just keep everything in the business. Relied on our organic growth because we didn't have any paid media spend, and just natural organic growth with very little money, and just learnings, and just learning in that time how to be frugal with money. I think is so important. In my experience, starting a brand with no money is actually an incredible learning experience, because you learn how to manage pennies, and you learn to be frugal and where to spend your money. And I think that as we're going after our first raise now is an incredible learning, because I think you see some brands that raise 500,000, put a huge amount into product. Your first order is never ever going to be right in terms of the quality. You're always doing these little improvements here and there. And I think having a lot of money early on is actually a constraint for a business in terms of that learning, especially when you're in your 20s and you're setting up a brand. So doing that doing it organically in that way has been a huge learning experience.
Yeah, definitely. And so how did you sell those first few batches of stock without any kind of marketing spend?
Yeah, so we just relied on organic growth and an element of gifting. And I think we were in a niche where we were the only people doing this kind of product. So we were able to gift to amazing influencers and really highlight our USPs of made in England, really good quality, what sets us apart. And then we're able to kind of negotiate as an early brand, no fees at all. So we're able to kind of get on that, get a lot of momentum from influencer marketing early on, and then relying on SEO and weekly content to kind of boost our organic search rankings, which meant by month 4 we were ranking organically as number 1 for all our search terms, which was so helpful because we didn't have a huge cost to acquire our customers.
Yeah, that's really impressive. And you mentioned as well that obviously you've this is your first raise. So you've gone all this time without raising any external money at all, whereas you see other e-commerce businesses raising a lot of money early on in exchange for big percentage of the business.
Yeah.
So it's very impressive that you've actually managed to bootstrap it and get to this point. So I guess my question is, why are you raising money now and not just continuing on the trajectory that you're on?
Yeah, great question. Really great question. It's something I've been kind of working out myself as well. And I just think for us, we're in year 5 of the business. We've really proven the model. We've been profitable for 3 years. We're growing exceptionally quick. And we're seeing a lot of brands kind of almost trying to mimic what we're doing at the moment. So we really want to be the authority brand. We've got a really clear vision of where we're going. And we see that ourselves as a proven model now where we can expand into other natural fibers. So for us, we've got projects like furniture, we've got Berber rugs, and these kind of pieces that we're releasing now have got a huge capital constraint, so we need the funds and able to fund our inventory growth purely for that. But I think we're on such a growth curve that inventory is needed at the point we're at to be able to kind of kick on. And sustainability for us is going nowhere, and sustainable furnishings is just growing year on year. So it's a perfect time for us to raise and I suppose to become that authority brand in the market before anyone else, I suppose, catches on to what we're doing.
Hmm. Oh, well, that sounds very exciting. And so you talked a bit about kind of new products that you're looking at launching, but aside from that, what is next in terms of the growth, and what are you going to want the money? What are you going to want to do with the money?
Yeah, so really exciting. We've been doing so we've seen our business as a B2C business, but we've been doing so much B2B with interior designers recently. I've been lucky to work with, I'd say, the top 4: Rita Koenig, Todd Hunter Earl, Dalrymple Studio, and loads of other of these amazing interior designers and hotels and restaurants. So we didn't really see our business in that industry just yet. So we've been able to kind of create products that we know these interior designers have been able really desire in our fibers that we already sell to them. So for us, that funds a lot of the B2B sector that we're going after and kind of ties in with the products that we know that these interior designers want. So for example, we've got these amazing furniture pieces coming in March next year, and we've been able to kind of arrange pre-orders and take funds already from the interior designers for the launch of these products. So for us, we've got the funds ready and waiting. And now it's just like finding a factory, and that takes a lot of work, and developing these products on a larger scale. So for us, the money spent a lot on B2B, and then we're also starting events next season. So B2C events, building on kind of our e-commerce growth. So we've got 27 B2B and B2C events next year, including Spirited Christmas, Dalesford, horse trials. So we'll be up and down the country at those kind of events next year.
Wow, sounds like you're going to have a lot going on then.
Yeah, for sure.
And so obviously you've got a lot of moving parts there, and it sounds like it's just you kind of managing the business at the moment. And then obviously you're going to have this inflow of cash. How are you actually managing the cash, and how have you managed the cash up until this point?
Yeah, I suppose that's an area that we really lack in terms of we've always bootstrapped and been very financially constraints at elements, and I haven't probably invested in any form of financial reporting or apart from just a basic P&L. So I think that's an area we really lack, where we could do with advice on.
And so what have you actually done up until this point then, and in terms of conversations with investors and getting everything ready? Because obviously it must be in a pretty solid position.
So I think that by the nature of our business, we're already very profitable. We've already got great margins. We've got a great EBITDA. And we're profitable almost every month. So I think just the nature of our business and where our metrics sit, we have a great unit economics as well. So we're very clear on the kind of unit economics as a side of the business, but we're not very clear on the business financial health as a whole in terms of preparations, forecasts, and aspects like that. So
Got it. Makes sense. And so obviously this podcast is all about really helping build connections both with the audiences and with the guests. So if anyone's listening to this who you might be able to help, or they might be able to help you, what does that person look like? For example, could it be an investor who might be interested? Obviously, anyone who wants to buy your stuff, go on the website. But who else?
Yeah, so I think really, really open to making connections. In the last 3 months, I've been at every e-commerce event possible and just networking and learning from other individuals in e-commerce and how they've done it. Just last week, I was with a brand that's just got into M&S called Vinca, an amazing wine business, and other brands that are in the kind of natural fibres industries where we're able to work now with an amazing furniture designer from networking. So I think at our stage, we're networking a huge amount to find potential angel investors and to find people who align and brands who align with our vision, so we can just learn about other brands, how they've grown in areas, and just take the learnings that other brands have grown from and where we can get better.
Sounds good. And how can people get in touch with you?
So we're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn. Hyde and Hare can be found on LinkedIn, and personally through me. And then just loads of networking events we do. So we go to the Ecom Collab Club, which is a great networking event if you're in the e-commerce industry, and online, really.
Okay, good. So we'll put links to your LinkedIn and the website in the show notes. So it'll be very easy for anyone who's interested to get in touch with you. Is there anything else you want to share?
I suppose for us, we're really looking to pioneer a new style of living. So there's as I mentioned, the whole brand is built around a Danish style of living called Hygge, and that's a very cozy based lifestyle. No one's really kind of tapped into this area of the market, and it's an exciting lifestyle that we're just so passionate about. And it very much aligns with kind of the seasons, bringing nature back into their homes. We're working in conjunction with kind of sustainable artisans. So yeah, it's an incredibly exciting vision we've got, and we're kind of looking to hire as well in the next 12 months. So if there's any marketeers out there, head of marketing, we're looking to hire, and we're looking to hire a B2B specialist as well. So if anyone had any connections to or was interested in coming to work with us, we'd be very interested in kind of speaking with them. And also anyone in the angel network, that would be great to get a meeting booked in. And we're offering an introducer fee to make it worth everyone's time.
Perfect. So anyone listening who meets that criteria or just wants to have a chat with Piers, then get in touch. Piers, it's been a pleasure hearing about Hyde and Hare and the exciting plans that you've got. So I wish you all the best over the next few years. And thank you for coming on.
Thanks so much.
Cheers. Thanks for listening. As I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, this podcast was created to celebrate the success stories of seven-figure business owners, giving them a platform to share their insights and lessons learned in order to inspire other business owners. As well as that, it's an opportunity to build new connections. So if you're a seven-figure business owner or someone who works with seven-figure business owners and you're looking for introductions to potential stakeholders, strategic partners and clients, I'd love to hear from you or have you on as a guest and see if I can help make those connections for you. Just go to synergycfosolutions.co. That's synergycfosolutions.co and click podcast. On that page, you'll find the link to apply.